The large meeting hall fell silent as Supreme Counselor Tahoe entered. His blue skin shimmered under the bright lights. He wore the gold robes that showed his high rank in the Galactic Council. Tahoe had led the Council for over 200 years. The Council itself had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years before that. "We have found a new species," Tahoe announced to the room of 50 alien representatives. "They call themselves humans." The room filled with excited whispers. Finding new intelligent life was always a big event. "What makes these humans special?" Tahoe continued, raising his long, thin hand for quiet, "is that they have developed faster than light travel on their own." Now the room exploded with noise. This was truly rare. Most species joined the Council long before they could travel between stars. Jiwoo, a young diplomat with purple skin and large eyes, stood up. "Supreme Counselor, I volunteer to make first contact." Tahoe nodded. "Very well. Prepare a ship and standard welcome package. Offer them the usual terms for new members." 2 weeks later, Jiwoo's sleek silver ship entered Earth's solar system. Earth authorities directed her to land in a place called New Zealand. Humans had prepared a special landing zone in a green field. When Jiwoo stepped out of her ship, she saw a group of humans waiting. They looked strange to her with their flat faces, varied skin colors, and hair on their heads. One human stepped forward. "I am Chunho, representative of the Human Unity Government. Welcome to Earth." Jiwoo bowed slightly. "I am Jiwoo of the Galactic Council. I bring greetings from 50,000 worlds." The humans took her to a building where they shared food and drinks. Jiwoo was surprised by how calm they seemed. Most new species were shocked to learn they weren't alone in the universe. "You don't seem surprised to meet an alien," Jiwoo said to Chunho. He smiled. "We've suspected intelligent life existed for centuries. We've been sending signals to space for over 200 years. After the meal, Jiwoo presented the standard offer. "The Galactic Council invites Earth to join our union of worlds. You will receive advanced technology, protection, and access to trade networks." The humans nodded, looking pleased. "Of course," Jiwoo continued, "there is a 200-year probation period. During this time, Earth will be under Council guidance. Your ships can't leave your solar system without permission. Council representatives will help manage your world's development. After 200 years, if all goes well, Earth will become a full member." The friendly atmosphere in the room vanished instantly. Chunho's face hardened. "Let me understand," he said slowly. "You want us to give up our independence for 200 years. Jiwoo was confused. "It's not giving up independence. It's a protection period. All new species go through it." Chunho stood up. "Earth will not surrender control of its affairs to any outside power. Not for 200 years. Not for 200 days. Jiwoo blinked rapidly in confusion. This had never happened before. "Perhaps I explained poorly." She tried again. "The probation period is for your benefit." "Our answer is no," Chunho said firmly. "Earth will join as a full member immediately, or not at all." Jiwoo's mouth fell open. No species had ever rejected the standard terms. That's not possible," she stammered. "The protocols have existed for thousands of years." "Then perhaps it's time for new protocols," Juno replied. The other humans nodded in agreement. Jiwoo left Earth confused and worried. As her ship sped back to Council headquarters, she practiced how to tell Supreme Counselor Tahoe the bad news. Humans wanted to change rules that had worked for millennia. Worse, they didn't seem impressed or intimidated by the Council at all. For the first time in Jiwoo's life, she wondered if the mighty Galactic Council had met its match. Supreme Counselor Tahoe stared at Jiwoo with wide eyes. The young diplomat had just finished reporting on her failed mission to Earth. "They refused the probation period." "Completely?" Tahoe asked, his blue skin turning a darker shade with concern. "Yes, Supreme Counselor. The human called Junho said they would join as equals or not at all," Jiwoo replied. Tahoe pressed a button on his desk. Call an emergency meeting of the High Council. Now, 2 hours later, the 5 most powerful members of the Galactic Council sat around a round table. Besides Tayo, there was Jinwon of the warrior Varic species, Minji of the peaceful Lorans, Do-Yun of the logical Mechas, and Yunji of the ancient Zorans. Humans have rejected our standard terms, Taho announced. This has never happened in 8,000 years. Jinwon slammed his fist on the table. His red scales rippled with anger. Then we show them force. A small fleet near their planet will change their minds. Minji shook her head, her long green tentacles swaying gently. Violence is not the answer. Perhaps we can be flexible with humans. Flexibility. Jinwon growled. The probation period exists for a reason. Without it, how do we know they won't cause trouble? Do-Yun spoke in his usual calm voice. Let's look at facts. Humans developed faster than light travel on their own. Very few species do this. That's why we need to control them, Jinwon insisted. They're moving too fast. Taho raised his hand for silence. Let's hear from Intelligence Chief Sunho. A tall, thin alien with gray skin entered the room. Sunho operated the Council's spy network across the galaxy. Supreme Counselor, I've been studying humans since we discovered them. Sunho said. They are unusual. He touched a control, and a 3D image of Earth appeared above the table. Humans advanced from primitive technology to space travel in just 5,000 years. Most species take 15,000 to 20,000 years to do the same. The council members shifted uncomfortably. Their military technology is basic compared to ours, Sunho continued, but their approach is creative. They think differently than any species we know. Are they dangerous? Yunji asked, her ancient voice barely above a whisper. Unknown, Sunho replied, but they're unpredictable. Taho looked at each council member. What do you suggest we do? Minji spoke first. Send a higher-ranking diplomat. Show them we take them seriously. And if they still refuse? Jinwon asked. Then we consider other options, Taho said carefully. Jinwon wasn't satisfied. We can't let them challenge our rules. If one species breaks protocol, others will follow. I agree with Minji, Do-Yun said. A second diplomatic mission makes logical sense, but we should prepare for failure. Yunji, who rarely spoke, looked up with her ancient eyes. In my 700 years, I have never seen a species refuse council terms. These humans concern me. Taho stood up. We will try diplomacy once more. High Diplomat Haijin will go to Earth. She has 300 years of experience. If anyone can convince the humans, she can. Jinwon growled but didn't object. As the meeting ended, Taho pulled Sunho aside. Tell me honestly, what are our chances with these humans? Sunho looked troubled. I don't know. Supreme Counselor. They unite quickly, adapt fast, and don't fear the unknown. In some ways, they are the opposite of us. Keep watching them closely, Taho ordered. I want to know everything about these humans. After everyone left, Taho stood alone by the window, looking out at the thousands of ships coming and going from the Council world. For 8,000 years, the Council had grown without serious challenges. Now, a small planet called Earth threatened to change everything. Taho felt something he hadn't felt in centuries. High Diplomat Haijin stepped off her ship onto Earth soil. Unlike Juwu's small vessel, Haijin arrived in an impressive Council flagship that stretched over half a kilometer long. Its golden hull gleamed in the sunlight as it hovered above the landing area. Haijin had negotiated with over 200 species in her 300-year career. She wore her most formal robes, deep purple with silver symbols showing her high rank. 4 assistant diplomats followed behind her. Chancellor Chunho waited with a small group of human officials. Haijin noticed they didn't seem impressed by her ship or her fancy clothes. Welcome to Earth, High Diplomat, Junho said with a small bow. We hope your visit will be productive. Haijin bowed back. Thank you, Chancellor. The Galactic Council wishes to continue our discussion about Earth joining our community. They walked to a large building called the Global Unity Center. Inside, they sat at a round table. Hygiene approved of this. Round tables showed equal status for everyone. After drinks were served, Hygiene began carefully. Chancellor, I understand your concerns about the probation period. Perhaps I can explain its importance better than my junior colleague did. Junho nodded politely. Please do. The galaxy is complex, Hygiene said. There are dangers new species cannot imagine. The probation period protects you while you learn about galactic politics and threats. All current council members went through this same process. And during this time, Earth would be under council control. Junho asked. Not control. Guidance, Hygiene corrected smoothly. You would still manage your daily affairs. But we couldn't leave our solar system without permission. We couldn't trade freely. We couldn't vote on council matters, Junho stated. That sounds like control to me. Hygiene had expected this. These temporary limitations prevent new species from making dangerous mistakes. Once the probation ends, you would have full rights. 200 years is not temporary to humans, Junho said. Our lives are short compared to yours. Most of us live less than 100 years. This surprised Hygiene. Most council species lived for centuries. I see, she said. Perhaps we could reduce the probation for humans, given your shorter lifespans. Would 100 years be acceptable? Junho shook his head. No length of probation is acceptable. Earth joins as a full member, or not at all. Hygiene's patience began to wear thin. Chancellor, please understand. The Council has existed for thousands of years. Our protocols work. They keep peace in the galaxy. Your protocols may work for others, but not for us, Junho replied firmly. Hygiene decided to try a different approach. There could be consequences to refusing membership. The galaxy can be dangerous for independent worlds. For the first time, Junho smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. Is that a threat, High Diplomat? A reality, Hygiene said carefully. The Council cannot protect non-member worlds. Junho pressed a button on the table. A hologram appeared showing star maps and trade routes. We don't need Council protection. We've already established independent trade agreements with the Ralvi, Tekken, and Zhou species. Hygiene couldn't hide her shock. That's impossible. Those species are Council members. They cannot trade outside Council approval. Yet they are, Junho said calmly. They found our terms better than yours. Hygiene felt dizzy. This was worse than she thought. Humans weren't just refusing membership. They were undermining Council authority by making separate deals with member species. This meeting is over, Hygiene said stiffly. The Council will discuss this development. As she walked back to her ship, Hygiene's mind raced. In 300 years of diplomacy, she had never failed so completely. The humans weren't impressed, weren't intimidated, and weren't following any of the expected reactions. Worse, they were changing the rules of a game the Council had controlled for millennia. The main Council chamber had never been so loud. Hundreds of representatives shouted over each other. Some pounded their desks. Others waved their arms, tentacles, or wings in anger. Supreme Councilor Teho banged his gavel 3 times. Order. We will have order. Slowly, the noise died down. At the center of the room stood 3 nervous representatives. One from the Ralvi, one from the Tekken, and one from the Zhou. These were the species that humans claimed to have trade deals with. Explain yourselves, Tahoe demanded. How dare you trade with a non-council species without permission? The Ralvi representative, a short furry being named Kiju, spoke first. Supreme Councilor, the humans offered us rare metals at half the price of council markets. And that's worth breaking our laws. Jinwon shouted, his red scales darkening with rage. The Tekken representative, Bowman, lifted his 6-fingered hands. The humans also shared new farming technology. Our people suffer less hunger now. Trading technology is the most serious violation. Jinwon growled. The Zhou representative, a floating orb of light named Taeyong, pulsed gently. Humans taught us to make our ships 30% faster. We would be fools to refuse. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Many representatives looked thoughtful rather than angry now. Tahoe sensed the mood shifting. This was dangerous. If council members saw benefits in working with humans outside council rules, the entire system could fall apart. These unauthorized trades must stop immediately, Tahoe declared. Any world continuing to deal with Earth will face sanctions. In a corner of the chamber, Minji whispered to Doyen, "Threats won't work. We need to understand why humans are so different." "I agree," Doyen whispered back. "The logical approach is to study them more closely." As the session ended, Jinwon approached Tahoe with a group of military advisors. "Supreme Counselor, talking has failed," Jinwon said firmly. "We must show these humans our strength. A military blockade of their system would change their attitude quickly." Tahoe frowned. "That could lead to conflict." "Humans have primitive weapons compared to ours," Jinwon insisted. "They would back down immediately." Minji joined them, her green tentacles swirling in agitation. "War with a new species would damage our reputation across the galaxy. We must try more diplomacy." "Diplomacy has failed twice already," Jinwon countered. Tahoe raised his hand for silence. "I need more information before deciding." Later that day, Tahoe met privately with Intelligence Chief Sunho. "I have troubling news," Sunho said. "Our agents report humans are contacting more council worlds. At least 15 species have received human messages offering trade and technology sharing." Tahoe's blue skin paled. 15. This is worse than I thought. "There's more," Sunho continued. "Humans are using methods we can't track. Their ships appear and disappear from our sensors. It's like they have technology we don't understand." Tahoe paced the room. "I need you to go to Earth, Sunho. Not as an official representative, but secretly. Learn everything you can about these humans. What drives them? Why do they refuse our ways?" "This is unusual," Sunho noted. "Intelligence chiefs rarely do fieldwork." "These are unusual times," Tahoe replied. "I fear Jinwon will push us toward conflict if we don't find another solution soon." As Sunho left to prepare for his mission, Tahoe stood by the window again. In the distance, he could see ships from 3-member worlds leaving the council station without filing proper departure plans. The carefully built order of thousands of years was beginning to crack, all because one small planet refused to follow the rules everyone else accepted. What makes humans so different? Tahoe whispered to himself. And why are others so quick to follow them? Sunho stepped off the small tourist ship onto Earth. Unlike the official visits by Ju and Haijin, Sunho arrived quietly. He wore a disguise that made him look like a Ralvi trader. The humans checked his fake papers and let him enter. Earth was nothing like Sunho expected. The cities were busy and loud. People of different colors and sizes walked together. Some smiled at him. Others ignored him. No one seemed afraid of aliens anymore. Sunho rented a small room in a place called Tokyo and began his work. Each day, he watched humans. Each night, he sent secret reports to Tahoe. "Humans are strange," he wrote in one report. "They compete with each other in games and business, yet help each other during problems. They argue loudly about politics but defend each other against outside threats. I do not understand them yet." On his 5th day, Sunho visited a university. He pretended to be interested in human education. There he met Doyen, a human teacher of history. "You're from the Ralvi worlds?" Doyen asked, offering Sunho a drink called coffee. "Yes," Sunho lied. "I'm here to learn about humans." Doyen smiled. "Well, you've come to the right person. I study how human societies developed." Over the next few days, Sunho met with Doyen often. The human seemed happy to talk about Earth's history. Sunho listened carefully. "The most important thing to understand about humans," Doyen explained one day, "is our history of division." "Division?" Sunho asked. "For most of our history, Earth was divided into countries that fought each other, Doyen said. We had terrible wars. Millions died. It was only 200 years ago that we finally united as one world government. Sun Ho thought about this. And before that? Before that, every nation was jealous of its freedom. No country wanted to be controlled by others. Those that tried to control their neighbors were seen as evil. Now Sun Ho began to understand. So humans dislike being controlled because of your history. Exactly, Doyen said, looking pleased. We fought too hard for our unity to give it up now. The idea of being under another power feels like going backward. Later that night, Sun Ho sent an urgent message to Tahoe. I think I understand the problem. The Council's probation period looks like control to humans. Their history makes them reject this automatically. The next day, Sun Ho visited a human museum. He saw displays about Earth's wars, about countries fighting for freedom, about people dying to protect their rights. Suddenly, the humans' reaction to the Council made sense. That evening, he met Doyen again at a food place. Can I ask you something? Sun Ho said carefully. What do most humans think about the Galactic Council? Doyen looked around to make sure no one was listening. Officially, we're still considering their offer. Unofficially, he leaned closer. Most humans think the Council is outdated. Why should younger species have fewer rights than older ones? It doesn't make sense. But the Council has kept peace for thousands of years, Sun Ho argued. At what cost? Doyen asked. Limited trade, controlled technology sharing, species waiting centuries for full rights. That's not peace. That's control. Sun Ho was shocked by these words, but he also saw the logic. The Council had always presented its rules as protection, but seen from the human view, they looked like chains. That night, Sun Ho wrote his most important report. Supreme Counselor, the Council's approach is fundamentally wrong for humans. They see our protection as control, our guidance as limitation, our stability as stagnation. And the most troubling part is this. When other species hear the humans explain their view, many find it convincing. As he sent the message, Sun Ho realized something important. The humans weren't just being difficult. They were offering the galaxy a completely different way of thinking. Supreme Counselor Tahoe read Sun Ho's latest report with growing concern. He now understood why humans refused the Council's terms, but this understanding didn't solve the problem. In fact, it made things worse. If we change our rules for humans, Tahoe said to his advisors, other species will demand the same treatment. Then we don't change, Jinwen said firmly. His red scales gleamed under the bright lights. We force humans to follow our ways. Before Tahoe could answer, an aide rushed into the room. Supreme Counselor, urgent news. The aide handed Tahoe a data pad. As Tahoe read it, his blue skin turned pale. What is it? Minji asked, her green tentacles curling with worry. Tahoe looked up slowly. 5 mid-level council worlds have announced they are reviewing their membership terms. They want the same rights as founding members. Silence filled the room. In 8,000 years, no world had ever questioned its membership terms. Which worlds? Doyen asked calmly. Braca, Nelos, Vish, Chorus, and Peltar, Tahoe read. Jinwen growled. All worlds that humans have contacted recently. Yunji, the ancient Zoran, spoke softly. For millennia, we have maintained control through our monopoly on faster-than-light travel technology. New members could only travel between stars using our approved ships and routes. But now humans have their own FTL technology, Minji said, and they're sharing it. Exactly, Tahoe said. Without that control, our entire system is at risk. Later that day, Jinwen called a private meeting with his supporters. 20 council representatives gathered in a secure room. I have proof of human plots against the council, Jinwen announced. He showed them images of human ships visiting different worlds. My spies have discovered something alarming. Earth is planning a big meeting. They've invited 20 species to discuss forming a free galactic alliance as an alternative to the Council. Angry murmurs filled the room. "When is this meeting?" asked a representative. 10 days from now, Jinwan replied. "On Earth." "We must stop this," shouted another. Jinwan nodded. "I'm calling an emergency council session tomorrow. We will demand military action." The next day, the full council gathered. Jinwan presented his evidence of the human conference. "This is a direct threat to our authority," he declared. "I propose a military blockade of Earth. No ships in or out until humans agree to our terms." Minji stood up. "A blockade is an act of war. We should talk to the humans about their concerns." "Talk has failed," Jinwan replied. "Now we must show strength." Doyun spoke next. "Logic suggests a middle path. Perhaps we can offer humans special terms while keeping our system for others. If we do that, every world will demand special terms," Yunji said softly. "The system will collapse." Tahoe looked around the room. More than half the representatives seemed to support Jinwan's plan, even those who didn't look worried about the human conference. "We will vote," Tahoe announced. "Should we establish a blockade of Earth's solar system?" The vote passed by a narrow margin. Tahoe felt sick as he announced the result. "The motion carries. Admiral Seojin will lead a peacekeeping fleet to Earth immediately." As the council members left, Tahoe sent an urgent message to Sunho. "Return immediately. The council has voted for a blockade. Conflict seems likely." What the council didn't know was that humans had friends among the council staff. Within an hour of the vote, Chancellor Juno received a warning about the coming blockade, and Earth had been preparing for this possibility for months. The game was about to change again. Admiral Seojin stood on the bridge of the massive council warship Justice. Around his ship, 50 other warships moved into position. They had just arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. "Form the blockade line," Seojin ordered. His golden uniform shimmered in the dim light of the bridge. "No ship enters or leaves this system without our permission." "Admiral, we're detecting unusual energy readings from the inner system," a sensor officer reported. "Probably their primitive defense systems," Seojin said dismissively. "Nothing to worry about." Suddenly, alarms blared across the bridge. Multiple objects approaching at high speed. The sensor officer shouted. Before Seojin could respond, small silver devices appeared near each council ship. They were no bigger than shuttles. Seojin wasn't worried. "Scan those devices," he ordered calmly. Then the devices activated. Blue energy waves spread out from each one. When the waves touched the council ships, the ship's engines shut down. "What's happening?" Seojin demanded. "Our engines are offline," the engineering officer reported with panic in his voice. "The same is happening to all our ships." Seojin's confidence vanished. Without engines, the ships couldn't maintain their positions. They began to drift. "Get those engines back online," he shouted. "We can't. The systems won't respond." A communication officer interrupted. "Admiral, we're receiving a message from Earth." "Put it on screen," Seojin growled. Chancellor Junho's face appeared. He looked calm and serious. "Admiral Seojin, this is Earth Chancellor Juno. You have entered Earth space without permission. Your engines have been temporarily disabled by our defense system. This is an act of war," Seojin shouted. "No, Admiral. Sending a military fleet to blockade our planet was the act of war," Junho replied evenly. "We have simply defended ourselves. The Council will not stand for this," Seojin threatened. "The Council is already falling apart," Junho said. "You know this. Now, listen carefully. Your ships will be released in 1 hour. You will return to Council space immediately. If you attempt another blockade, the response will be stronger." The screen went dark. Seojin stood in shocked silence. No species had ever defeated a Council fleet. No species had even dared to try. Meanwhile, on Earth, Shunho left the communication room and joined his advisors. The pulse devices worked perfectly, a military officer reported. All council ships are disabled. And our guests? Shunho asked. Most have already arrived safely, another advisor said. They used the secret routes we provided. Shunho nodded with satisfaction. How many worlds sent representatives? 37, Chancellor. Shunho looked surprised. 37. We only invited 20. Word spread, the advisor explained. More worlds want to join the Free Galactic Alliance than we expected. Shunho smiled. Prepare the conference hall. Tomorrow, we begin building a new galactic order. Back at Council headquarters, Supreme Counselor Teo received Admiral Seojin's report. The Council fleet had been disabled by human technology, forced to retreat, and completely humiliated. How is this possible? Jinwon demanded, his red scales almost black with rage. Their technology should be centuries behind ours. Apparently not, Taho said grimly. And now we have an even bigger problem. He showed them a new report. Council spies had confirmed that representatives from 37 worlds were now on Earth for the conference. That was nearly 1/4 of all Council members. This is beyond a crisis, Minji said, her tentacles drooping with worry. This is the potential end of the Council as we know it. Taho looked out the window at the stars. For 8,000 years, the Council had ruled those stars. Now, because of one stubborn species, that rule was crumbling. We need a new approach, Taho said quietly. Fighting humans clearly doesn't work. What do you suggest? Yunji asked. Taho turned to face them. Something the Council has never done before. The main Council chamber was in complete chaos. Representatives shouted and argued. Some pounded their desks. Others threatened to leave the Council forever. 1/4 of our members have sent representatives to Earth, a BRCA delegate shouted. We should join them. Traitors, yelled a supporter of Jinwon. Any world that joins this human alliance should be punished. Supreme Counselor Taho banged his gavel repeatedly, but no one listened. The Council, orderly for thousands of years, had descended into disorder. Minji pushed through the crowd to reach Taho's side. This is getting dangerous, she said, her green tentacles twisting with worry. If we don't find a solution soon, the Council might break apart completely. I agree, Taho said, but what can we do? Humans won't accept our ways, and we can't accept theirs without changing everything. Maybe it's time for change, Minji suggested quietly. Before Taho could answer, Jinwon stormed onto the main platform with 20 military officers behind him. Supreme Counselor, Jinwon announced loudly, making the room quiet down. You have failed to handle the human problem. The military leadership suggests you step down. I will take control and deal with Earth properly. Gasps echoed through the chamber. No one had ever challenged a Supreme Counselor in public. This is not proper procedure, Taho said calmly. Proper procedure has failed. Jinwon shot back. While we talk, humans destroy everything we build. I have the support of 40 worlds to take emergency control of the Council. Taho looked around the room. Many representatives were nodding in agreement with Jinwon. Fear was driving them toward a dangerous path. Just then, Intelligence Chief Sunho entered the chamber. He had just returned from Earth. He walked straight to Taho and whispered something in his ear. Taho's eyes widened. He stood up straighter and faced the crowd. Before anyone votes on Jinwon's suggestion, I have something important to say, Taho announced. His voice was stronger than anyone had heard in years. I have received the full report about humans and their thinking, and I have made a decision. The room fell silent. The problem is not with humans, Taho continued. The problem is with us, with the Council itself. Angry murmurs spread, but Taho raised his hand. For 8,000 years, we have not changed our basic rules. The founding species, our species, created the probation period not to protect new members, but to control them. Jinwon tried to interrupt, but Taho ignored him. This system worked when we controlled all faster than light travel. But humans developed their own FTL technology. They showed us that our system doesn't need to be the only way. And many of our members are listening to them. What are you suggesting? Yunji asked, her ancient voice cutting through the noise. I am suggesting that the council itself must change, Tahoe said firmly. The probation period will end. All current and new members will have equal rights. Trade will be more open. Technology sharing will be encouraged, not controlled. That would destroy our power, Jinwon shouted. No, Tahoe replied. It would transform our power from control to cooperation, from forcing others to follow us to leading by example. Minji stepped forward. I support this change. Do-hyun joined her. It is the logical path forward. Even Yoonji nodded slowly. Perhaps after 8,000 years, it is time for something new. Jinwon looked around, seeing support for his takeover fading. This is madness. You would throw away thousands of years of tradition because of one stubborn species. No, Tahoe said. I would improve thousands of years of tradition by learning from one innovative species, and I have decided to do something no Supreme Counselor has ever done before. What? Several voices asked at once. I am going to Earth myself, Tahoe announced, to meet with these humans directly, to learn from them, and to build a new galactic order together. Supreme Counselor Tahoe's ship approached Earth alone. No warships, no armed escorts, just a single diplomatic vessel carrying the most powerful being in the galaxy. As his ship entered Earth orbit, Tahoe felt nervous for the first time in centuries. The humans could easily capture or kill him, but he believed this risk was necessary. Chancellor Junho waited at the landing area with just a small group. No large military display, no weapons visible. This seemed promising to Tahoe. When Tahoe stepped from his ship, Junho bowed slightly. Supreme Counselor, this is unexpected. Desperate times require bold actions, Tahoe replied. They walked to a simple meeting room. Through the windows, Tahoe could see representatives from many worlds walking between buildings. The human conference was well underway. Before we begin, Junho said, I must ask, is this a trick? Are council warships waiting to attack? No, Tahoe said firmly. I come alone, seeking genuine change. Junho studied him carefully. What change? I propose dissolving the current council structure, Tahoe said, and creating something new in its place, something where all species have equal rights from the beginning. Junho looked surprised. That's exactly what we're discussing in our conference. I know, Tahoe replied. That's why I'm here. I want the council to be part of this new system, not fighting against it. For the next several hours, Tahoe and Junho talked about possibilities. Tahoe explained the council's long history, both good and bad. Junho shared human ideas about governance, equality, and cooperation. The old council had benefits, Tahoe admitted. It kept peace for thousands of years. But it also held back progress, limited freedom, created resentment. And our new alliance would allow more freedom, Junho said, but might struggle to maintain order across such vast distances. Slowly, a new idea formed between them. Take the best parts of both systems. What if, Tahoe suggested, we form a transitional committee, half council representatives, half human allied worlds. Together, we design a new galactic government. Junho nodded slowly. It could work. A galactic congress instead of a council. Equal votes for all worlds. No probation periods. And humans would contribute their perspective, Tahoe added. By evening, they had a basic agreement. The old council would be dissolved. A new galactic congress would be formed. All worlds would have equal rights from the beginning. Back at council headquarters, not everyone accepted this news. Jinwon and 40 loyal warships broke away from the main fleet. Tahoe is a traitor, Jinwon declared. We will destroy the human alliance ourselves. The rebel fleet set course for Earth, but when they arrived, they found something unexpected. Hundreds of ships formed a defensive line around Earth. Some were council ships. Others were from independent worlds. All had chosen to stand with the new alliance. Outnumbered and alone, Jin One's fleet retreated. 3 months later, the first meeting of the new Galactic Congress began. Representatives from 500 worlds gathered in a huge new building on neutral territory, a previously uninhabited planet renamed Harmony. Tahoe and Juno stood side by side, watching delegates take their seats. "I never imagined this outcome when we first discovered Earth," Tahoe admitted. "And I never thought we'd end up working with the Council," Juno replied with a smile. "Former Council," Tahoe corrected him. "Now we're all just members of something better." Below them, species that had been enemies now talked as equals. Old Council members mixed with newcomers. Technologies were shared openly. Trade agreements formed without restrictions. Will it last? Shunho wondered aloud. "Nothing lasts forever," Tahoe said wisely. "But together, we've created something that can grow and change as needed. That's more important than lasting unchanged." As the first session of the Galactic Congress began, Tahoe realized the humans had taught the galaxy an important lesson. Sometimes, refusing to negotiate the wrong things is the only way to build something truly right.